this happens in a sovereign context. And if it happens in sovereign context, then ultimately there is that limitation in terms of satisfying all the stakeholders of the process. So the point that I wanted to make here is that in the crowding landscape of South-South cooperation, there is an architecture which has emerged, be it G20. In IPSA, our foreign ministers adopted IPSA declaration on South-South cooperation, which does initiate the cardinal principles and the defining features of South-South cooperation. And I think to our delight, they do situate it not in terms of the development deficit, but they situate it in the context of the post-colonial context. If you remember that somebody made a reference to Bandung, that the whole narrative of South-South cooperation and development cooperation was not in the context of the fact that some societies had developed and there's a developmental deficit and there's an obligation. But the fact is that there was a reference to the post-colonial, the pre-colonial history of it, which led to the development deficit, and the post-colonial solidarity and the post-colonial obligation to it. And I think that element comes out in when we speak as the Southerners in our IPSA declaration. Our deliberations in G20 are also to an extent informed by this worldview, because BRICS is there. There are development partners who are not from the global north. So essentially there is the capability to mainstream your worldview of development cooperation has distinctly gone ahead. On our own side, we have launched a UN Development Fund to our own surprise, and also to the fact that we believe in little beginnings. We did not decide to expand IPSA fund, but the fact is that at a very notional contribution of $1 million, we have been able to make the difference in the last 10-15 years, that we have had 25 projects in 17 countries in that very affable and solidarity-oriented manner, which is nationally driven, national priority driven, and in a very small way, which in the UN parlance they call the QIPs, the quick impact projects. So having said that, I would leave my discussion here with some optimism that be it G20, IPSA, BRICS, or the G77, the South Center, I see that in my own system there is a greater focus on South Center. There's a greater references to the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. We have started looking forward to, whenever we go for the UNGA, it's not only UNDP that we look forward to meeting, we do make presentations. So I think somewhere we have also been lacking that our worldview of the UN itself was the peacekeeping, peace and security, which is essentially a budget-oriented worldview to the UN, and nothing wrong. That's the accounting and the chartered accountant manner of viewing the world, where you say, what do you do? What is your budget? What percentage of a budget goes to what activity? Okay, 80% of a budget is to peace and security, so rest is all talk. But I think there is, in a very sustainable way, in a very steady manner, this development narrative, cooperation narrative is finding its roots, and it is able to capture the diversity and also the evolution that is happening with BRICS coming of age, with we having with confidence our own developmental partnership, be it Africa, Latin America, or Asia. So having said that, I think we are at an important juncture, and we should all help Jorge for definition and legitimacy. And I'm sure whether we do it or not, but RIS will definitely do with the help of NEST and FIDC. I would also like to thank our partners from FIDC in India and the NEST, who have really anchored this conversation and helped us to theorize this framework and its nitty-gritties. Thank you so much.